Good morning, Aubrey. How's it going?
I'm great, Jess. How are you? How was your weekend?
My weekend was fantastic.
Nice.
James and I drove 10 hours on Friday to a place called Yuba City. It's north of Sacramento in California, and we had a family reunion. Now, my family is enormous, but we're not like close. Everybody's all over the place. So I saw aunts and cousins that I haven't seen since I was like James' age. And James finally met all these people that he's never met before. And of course, I
Awesome.
was so proud because everyone was complimenting me on how polite and wonderful James is. And it was so good.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to go back and listen to this. Imagine a part 2 question where it's like, describe a recent weekend or describe a recent trip. So many good things you did there. That intonation on enormous and 9 intonation, right? Don't ever
Thank
say
you.
enormous in a monotone. Like if something really is enormous, slow down and emphasize enormous. So good.
Give those adjectives the space and the honor that they deserve. All right, so today we are answering an interesting question from a YouTube subscriber, and you guys are going to learn about what books you guys should be using when you are studying for IELTS, especially at a C1 level. So before we get to his question, though, I want to define what C1 is. What is C1 level, Aubrey?
Yeah. So if you are at a C1 level, you're going to score between 6.5 to 7.5 for the IELTS exam, right? It's an upper intermediate level.
Exactly. So we're talking, your English is pretty good at this point.
Yes.
So I would say our advice today, guys, is perfect for you if you are intermediate or above. All right. Our advice will pertain to all of those levels. And if you're listening to us, you probably are that level. You know what I mean? You are
Right.
intermediate or above at this stage. So let's get to this question. Aubrey, can you read the question, please?
Yes. This is from Mohasil Bahar. Said, I love your energy, guys. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
What books do you recommend for self studying IELTS at level C1, especially for grammar and vocabulary? I've also bought 17 books of Cambridge exam preparation.
Hot
Wow,
dang.
17's a lot. Yeah. Wow.
17 is a lot. That's a lot of practice.
Good job investing in yourself.
I
That's a lot of
know.
practice.
That's great. All right, awesome. So let's tackle this thing like one step at a time. Because remember, guys, when you're studying for IELTS, when you are, whether it's like self preparation or you have an IELTS course, doesn't matter. You still are improving or trying to improve so many skills at the same time. So we really have to separate these things. That's why our study plan in Three Keys IELTS is so useful because there are so many aspects of your English and your test prep that you need to focus on, like one thing at a time. So the Cambridge books, yes, fantastic, but only for test practice. They don't teach you strategies, they don't teach you English. And you need both of those things if you're going to do the test well. So
Exactly. So you
yeah,
first need strategies,
yeah,
right? You need to learn the strategies in order to get as many answers correct as possible before you start just doing that test practice willy-nilly, right? Just sort of out of the blue, like, oh, just see how I do. So you can get them in our course, Three Keys IELTS. You get them here on our podcast. We teach lots of strategies for the IELTS exam. Make sure you're very clear on how to answer each reading question, what you need to do for the listening exam, all of those strategies before you start using that practice in those Cambridge books.
exactly. So the Cambridge books definitely are the best test practice for paper IELTS, right? Yesterday we had Robbie on the show from IELTS blog. Um, they just came out with a bunch of computer practice tests. And if you guys look at that episode from yesterday, look at the description, and there will be a link and some instructions for how you can get free computer IELTS test practice. So definitely go back and check that episode out from yesterday. So yeah, but guys, do not do IELTS test practice before you've learned about the test and made sure your English is of a high enough level to do well. It's a waste of time to do test practice unless you're going to do your best on it. You know what I mean? Like, why
Exactly.
even bother? That's a waste of time. You have
And
to
a
make
waste
sure
of
you're ready.
money,
Yeah.
all those books you're
Oh my gosh.
investing in, and if you
Totally.
waste that practice and the second time you do it is not going to be as IELTS valid, right? So if you, like, do all of
Right.
those exams and then learn some strategies and do them again, no, that is not mimicking or imitating
No.
what your test day experience will be like.
Exactly, exactly. So that's the first tip today, guys. For test practice this is at the end of your IELTS journey, really, when you're ready to do test practice. Yes, the Cambridge books are the best. All right, now he asked about grammar and vocabulary specifically. Should students spend money on vocabulary books or grammar books at this level?
No, absolutely not,
Boo.
guys. You do not want to use textbooks for this at this level. It's going to be boring. It's going to be really
Yeah,
hard for you to motivate yourself to study. If you're learning lists of vocabulary and, tips about grammar sort of in a vacuum without IELTS example sentences and
right.
helping you really focus on IELTS, you're wasting so much time and money on these grammar and vocabulary books. There is a better way.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, guys, at the beginning of your English learning journey, those types of books are great. Yeah, like you need them. You need to learn base rules. You need to learn basic vocabulary. So textbooks are great if you are a beginner, maybe even lower intermediate. But guys, once you're intermediate and above, like Aubrey said, language does not exist in a vacuum and you cannot learn it that way. I mean, I'm sure listeners, I'm sure a lot of you have finished some grammar books and maybe got one like a academic word list book or whatever. Did you master all of those grammar rules? Are you using all of that vocabulary? No. So how do we learn this? All
All
right.
right, so for vocabulary, right? You need to get it from real English context.
Yep.
Books, podcasts, movies, etc., right? Last week we shared in just episode 1300, Riddle Me This, can you learn vocabulary from
That's such a
superhero
great
movies?
episode.
This is where you want to be learning that vocabulary, right?
Yep.
From movies you find very engaging,
Mhm.
television shows, podcasts, books. That's where you're really going to learn it in context and be able to use it in your speaking exam, in your writing exam, and understand it when you hear it on the listening test or see it on the reading exam.
Yep, exactly, exactly. And that's where you get grammar too, right? Like, um, the more I just had a personal coach lesson yesterday, and low reading scores, low writing scores. Why? Because she doesn't like reading. So she doesn't read, right? And
Mhm,
so we talked
mhm.
about this and it's like how do we learn new things? How do we get better at things? One of those ways is looking at how other people do it well. You know what I mean? Like you have to be reading good writing in order to be a good writer. You have to see amazing sentence structures. You have to see like there's a finite number of sentence types. Like we're not making up new sentences every day. You know, you will see the same sentence structures if you read a lot. And that's how they
Right.
get in your brain. And then when you take a course like ours, allersenglish.com/KUIS, we even highlight sentence structures that are perfect for task 1, that are perfect for task 2. And so you learn these structures very well, so you use them perfectly on test day.
And
Um
spelling too, right? For the listening exam, for the writing exam, the best
right,
way
exactly.
to become a good speller is
Right.
reading and you're seeing the words spelled correctly. Lindsay and I just recorded a great episode about this for All Ears English. It's actually coming up. So if you hit follow on the All Ears English podcast, you're going to hear it in like a week or two because we record in advance for All Ears English. Don't miss it. It's a great one, very applicable to IELTS about how to improve your spelling through reading.
And by the way, guys, hit follow on this podcast right now on IELTS Energy. We've already referenced 2 recent episodes that are not to be missed. And guys, don't miss an episode. Hit follow right now because we have 2 brand new episodes for you every single week, every week of the year, guys. We never miss a day. So make sure to hit follow right now on this podcast wherever you listen. All right. So let's talk about our favorite thing where we get to recommend books to read. So, we've talked about the benefits of reading, vocabulary, grammar, reading skills, all of this, ideas for speaking and writing. So, what do we want our students to dig into?
Yes, and if you follow us, you may have heard in the past we often recommend young adult novel series
Yeah,
like The Hunger Games, Harry Potter, The Uglies, and they're just at a perfect vocabulary level, great for building your vocabulary of words you will actually be able to use on IELTS speaking and writing.
totally. I was just at a friend's house the other day, and her son are reading the Hunger Games trilogy. And she's like our age, and she never read these books, and she's so into it. Like, she
They're
loves
so
reading
good.
these books.
They're
I
page
love
turners
them.
for sure.
I read them as an adult. I love
Yeah.
those.
That's the
Um,
other benefit is they're so engaging, they
yeah,
suck you in, so you will look forward to reading them. It's difficult to read a novel in English. It's always easier to go for your first language when you just want to relax and read a novel.
right.
But if you
Yeah.
stick with like young adult novels that are very engaging, very interesting, this is going to really help you be motivated to read in English.
And I want to share an author that I recently discovered, Wendy Webb. That's Webb, Wendy Webb. So if you guys have been listening for a while, you know that both Aubrey and I love like horror stories and stuff. And these books that she writes, they're definitely of a supernatural bent. Like, there's some supernatural thing in every story, um like spirits and ghosts and stuff like that. And there's
Mm.
always the protagonist, like the main character, is always a woman, a strong woman, and doing something amazing, like restoring an old hotel or something. Like, there's certain elements like that that are in every story, and they're shorter. They're not like Stephen King length books. They're shorter, they're easy to consume, and they are so engaging. I have been mowing through her books. Like, I have read 3 of her books at this point, and I love them. Right now I'm reading Daughters of the Lake, and there's like this cool like parallel story between this woman in the past and this woman now who are in the same family,
Ooh.
and they're like connected to this lake spirit of the water. And like,
So
and there's,
exciting.
and the other element that's always there's like always going to be a love story too.
Oh, hey.
Somehow. And it's just, they're so fun, you guys. Wendy Webb, Webb
Yes.
with 2 B's. Love them.
And don't miss that amazing idiomatic verb that Jessica just used to say she's mowing through it. We usually talk about like mowing a lawn, like cutting the grass, but we
Yeah.
also use it this way to say I'm like taking in a lot of it really fast because
Yeah.
usually it's so fun and interesting, right? I want to recommend a book I'm reading that I had to grab, a man called Ove. I'm reading it in Spanish. You should read it in English. It was
That's
just
awesome.
made into a movie with, or it's an older movie too, but a movie with Tom Hanks, A Man
Yeah.
Called Otto. It's so good. It's being read by a lot of high schoolers. So definitely like doable in that young adult
Nice.
genre,
Yeah.
but super interesting and very applicable for, everyone, wherever you live in the world, a real human interest story. So
Cool.
highly recommend.
And reading books that have been turned into movies or TV shows, I mean, double whammy. Read the books and
Yes,
then
right.
watch it. Outlander would be great for that. So many seasons. Actually, I have a man friend who loves Outlander, and I'm like, I don't even watch it. That's like too romantic for me, but he
Yeah,
loves
if you're
it.
watching on YouTube, I just held up Outlander because I'm also reading that right now, the first book of the series.
So
All the
good.
books I have right next to my bed here.
That's so fun. I did read the first Outlander and I loved it, and I keep meaning to go back. I'm also digging back into the Dune series,
Ooh,
Dune, Dune,
it's the
and
second film that's gonna come out.
yep, exactly.
Often
I'm so
movies coming
excited.
out will inspire me to read a book, right? So whether you're the type of person who likes to watch the film or the TV series first and then the book, or
Mhm.
opposite, there are benefits to both,
Yeah.
right? But to answer this question today, this is the best way to get vocabulary, grammar, spelling for IELTS. Don't be buying textbooks. Don't be buying grammar books. Instead, find something you love that engages you and then read it for
Exactly.
plot, read it for vocabulary, pay attention to the grammar. This is how you improve those IELTS scores.
Exactly. And for those test strategies that you need in order to dig into the Cambridge practice test books, check out our course, Three Keys IELTS. Now you do get feedback on your final practice test, guys. So that's scores and personalized feedback on your speaking and writing. So check it out. Lifetime access. Get in now, allearsenglish.com/KEYS. And remember, we do talk to you guys twice a week on here every week. So hit follow so you never miss an episode. And sometimes we also have bonuses. So hit follow right now on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. I'll see you next time.
All right, awesome. Bye, Aubrey.
Bye.